Welcome to my video. Today I'm gonna speak about what social media got to do with science. My name is Dr. Can Dinçer. I'm from University of Freiburg. I'm affiliated with two institutes here. One is the Freiburg Center for Interactive Materials and Bio-Inspired Technologies, as well as Department of Microsystems Engineering at the University of Freiburg. So before we start, maybe talk about the social media and communication ways in science, I would like to present myself. I finished my PhD in microsystems engineering in 2016 in Freiburg. Then I was 2 years as a visiting researcher at the Imperial College London. At the same time, I'm also led my group here in the junior research group here at FIT. And since 2019, I'm an associated editor of the journal Biosensors and Bioelectronics, which is one of the leading journals in the sensors. Maybe just about the achievements. So I got three awards, two with my PhD. One is the Gibbs-Schule Award and one is the Adolf Martins Prize. And last year we won the Best Paper Award of IBA Heiligenstadt with our latest publication. Furthermore, I am also since 3 years a technical program committee member of the conference Microtas, which is related with microfluidics. It's the biggest conference in the field, so you can see different examples there. Since we are going to talk about communication ways in science, and the importance of sharing the information with others, one of the nice ways, and which I'm still trying over the last 5 years after my PhD. So making some journal covers, starting with analytical chemistry, then advanced functional materials, and we have different covers in transit biotechnology. And the latest one is about showing the power of the wearable sensors, was published 2 weeks ago in Advanced Functional Materials. This is, I just want to present myself to understand, also to show the philosophy behind of the strategy which I'm using to communicate. So my group is Disposable Microsystems, and we are, as I said, is a junior research group with many young researchers. And our goal is to develop low-cost and novel bioanalytical on-site systems, which you can use, diagnostic system which you can use on-site applications like point-of-care testing or variables, as well as food or environmental analysis. So this is about me. This is my group. But now I would like to talk about communication in science. And here, if you search about this topic, then you would see a book which is published in 1953, Making of a Scientist by Anna Rowe. And here this quote, which I really like: so nothing in science has any value to society if it's not communicated, and scientists are beginning to learn their social obligations. So we are talking about now almost 70 years before. So it's really interesting to see such a comment at this time. And of course now we have these through the social media and very connected world. So it's much more difficult, and I think we are still in the learning process. The second quote which I would like to give is by Stephen Hawking, a brief answer to the big questions, which is published in 2018. So not only is it important to ask questions and find the answer, as a scientist I felt obligated to communicate with the world what we are learning. So this is also showing the importance of the communications and explaining others what we are doing in the field, in the research field. So, and the last one is maybe not directly communication related, but it's also one of the fundamentals which can be used in communication, coming from Albert Einstein, which is where he says, if you can explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So this is also the basics how you should communicate with the non-expert people. So if you can explain it to a neighbor or to some relatives in an easy way what you are doing in the lab, so this would be also showing that you learned it really. And here you need to use different examples, communication techniques, and so this is the basics how we should communicate. Of course, we have traditional ways for communication, and I found this nice diagram from Wikipedia, which is showing the triangle between the scientists, science journalists, and also PR press officers. And then we have here the society, and we have these other factors. So these are all some kind of connected to each other. So we have the traditional way would be you published your idea regarding based on the achieved results, or of course you published the future ideas as well as your achieved results and findings. Attending conferences and other scientific meetings. Also, we are as a lecturer, we need to give lectures, teach the students. So there is education way for this, and also we have communication by press officers and science journalists. So which mainly helps us to communicate with the outside of the world. But now, of course, since I would say maybe about 10-15 years or a little bit longer, we have another way, which is called the direct way, social media, which is actually great, so that we directly can go to the public and explain them what we are doing, how we are doing, what we are thinking about, and also get some feedback from them. But on the other hand, this is very terrifying, because it's not one type of person which you could assume. For example, if you are writing an article, so you expect that from a simple from a specific field, researchers from a specific field will read this article. But this is not the case in social media. You just leave a message outside of the world, and there are multiple receivers, and they react also differently. And this is also something which I feel that many scientists are a little bit afraid of. We will discuss this. So, but now we have the new age of the communication, which is called social media, and this is of course since almost a decade in the other fields, but in the science we are just on that time. So, but if we speak about the social media, what is it? So social media is any digital tool allow us to quickly create and share content with the public. So this could be, the content could be different. So it could be many websites or apps, or you will be able to share text, links, or short written messages, like you can do it in Twitter. Or you have the possibility sharing photos like the apps Instagram, or videos like YouTube or TikTok. And there are also different, which we will also discuss later. So the field is huge, and there are the thing is now, as a scientist, we have not only one type of public people that will listen us. So we have multiple of them, and we have multiple channels. And of course, as a scientist, we need to do also our science. So this is a really difficult task to handle. Today I'm gonna speak about how I will handle with this issue. And here, maybe we can also think about the issues. Why are scientists reluctant to use the social media? Here I found actually a very interesting talk about navigating the science social media space, pitfalls and opportunities, by Kim Kapp. You can also follow her on Twitter, since we are talking about social media. So, and there are different types of reasons, and I just adapted a little bit. So, first of all, the first point is scientists. Not every scientist are comfortable while sharing this information. Why they not? So they think some kind of it's a self-promotion, and not every people likes to these kind of self-promoting stuff. So, and behind that there is two reasons. One way is they believe that they are science, so shouldn't this quality of science speak for itself? So I just publish it and expect that the whole world will just run to this article or whatever which we created because it's so cool. But this is the first mistake, because nowadays there are lots of information, lots of different channels. So you expect that your receiver has to sort out all these data, which is almost impossible, and find your research. And this is, as I said, it's a difficult task. It could also happen, but mainly you may also act yourself. The other part of the researcher thinks my research is not that interesting, so it's just a research. And so this is what I'm calling, actually, it's they just decide about their work if it's valuable or not. So, and this is also not a good way. So as a scientist, our idea should be to share this information. Maybe it's in that specific point it's not interesting, but someone can also take it and build it up. So this is also the idea. We are in a science, we don't create a final step, so we are always playing a puzzle. So we just put a part, and the next one could use this information and put something on it which makes it much more valuable. So don't decide about the novelty or the valuability of the value of your research by yourself. The next point is danger of overselling the societal relevance of results. So they believe, and this is also due to the pandemic now, an important issue, of course. So if you bring something out, there is also a danger that it's some kind of triggers something, and we also live these with the children and also the spread of COVID-19 at the beginning of the pandemic. So this is also a different thing. The other thing why scientists are afraid is the fear of loss of objective image as a scientist. So they believe if they share their idea, their opinion, so they are afraid if no one will listen to them for if they would change later on this opinion, and so therefore they are afraid and they just stay silent and do not talk about it at all. Of course, the fourth problem is the oversimplifying of the results. So and so it just loses its accuracy. So you just claim something complete. The claim that you made is completely understand wrong, and so it leads to a point where you don't want to, and so you just say, okay, then I don't want to share these. So just keep it there. And the last one, which is by the way, maybe it's some kind of a little bit true. So who has the time anyway? So as a scientist, we need to write projects, we need to make publications, we need to work in the lab, we need to supervise students depending on the stage of your career. So the question is, who has the time? And this is actually an important question. But this is, since it's important, we need to also spend this time, and we should see this as a normal task to inform and share this information. So that was the first part of my talk. In the second part, I just want to talk about the communication channels. So what we have in our hands, and maybe starting with this question. why we should use it. So I counted several reasons why scientists are reluctant to use it, and now I'm telling you, you need to use it. So and one of the things that I'm always facing is people believe that sharing content about social media is just to increase your own visibility. I think this is a dangerous thought, and this is also in my case. For example, I don't believe this. So my idea is not to get an applause for the work which I've done. So the idea is to increase the visibility of my research. So as I said, there is millions of works and research and different communications and also news in the media. So if you scroll on Twitter, so you will see such a high content, and you expect that the results that you publish should find and address someone. So it's really very difficult. So therefore you need to promote and you need to share this, not to increase your own visibility, which is of course also connected to your research. So it's also going up, but the idea behind should be the increase of your research visibility. And why we should do that? Because this leads new ideas, collaborations, publications, projects, and more. That's the science. That's the goal of the science. So we need to share this information to make new connections, learn new people, maybe motivate others to work on this field. So this is, as a scientist, one of our goals. So now I just want to give some examples of the social media channels which I'm using and how I'm using. So starting with the Twitter. I believe Twitter is one of the most important social media channels for science. So here you have the possibility to learn about the new papers, preprints, project calls, scientific awards. Especially for the project calls, you get them even before they really publish. So you just there will be a call, so you can really follow these very accurately and very timely. So another powerful stuff that you could do on Twitter is you can really share short news. You don't have to text much. So you just want to say, I have a publication on this topic. Or if you have to say a little bit more, you can create a thread where you can share many short news in a single content. For example, talking about an experience that you made by a grant application, whatever. So this is also a powerful, this makes also Twitter as a powerful tool. Another point is, of course, here you have the direct connection with other researchers, but also with the public figures. So you have connections with the journals or with the newspapers or different TV channels or whatever. You have also the possibility to making polls to check. For example, you can ask your audience about something that you want to learn. And this is actually one of my mainly used social media channels. Here I have about 1,400 followers and following 1,600. So it's some kind of nearby. So and here it's as I said, this is something which I'm mostly use. Another important thing is the LinkedIn. So here mainly people use it in a normal world as a for job opportunities, etc. But here in the science you can use it in a way that you make your own press releases by sharing news along with images, videos, and also tag other people. So therefore you can create really let's say one-page text about your research and just paste it there and leave it to the public. Here you have also the possibility to creating pools, also searching for experts, searching for jobs, as I already said, and also you can communicate here with scientists, companies, journalists. So it's also very versatile regarding their use. So here I have now 4,000 connections, which is also one of the mostly used social media channels. And LinkedIn has also another advantage. For example, Twitter is not available in all countries, and LinkedIn is actually everywhere. So there is mainly not banned. So you can reach also more people in the world. Okay, and also you could feature different different news that you made. And what I would really like, you can see who viewed your profile, you can check their profiles. I'm also here a paid member, so I have decided for myself to because it gets really, you can reach more than 10,000 people with a single news, so it's important for me to have this audience. And also you can see your post views from which company or from which university. So it's important, and also you can see how many people search some kind of your name, and or which searches your name pop up, and maybe get some hits, someone looked at you. So, and I have to also say, I have now 2 projects which is started from the LinkedIn. So the people send me an email, John, I saw your research, what do you think, should we write a project round? And after 2 years, so one is resulted in a DFG, is a German Research Foundation project, and the other one is the a BMBF project, which is a little bit more bigger than the DFG projects. And also so these 2 projects really started with using LinkedIn. So this is also one of the powerful tools that I would suggest to use. I found this interesting on that website, interesting thing. So if you want to share something on a LinkedIn, they suggest, for example, a post per day, which is not my strategy. So I would prefer a week maximal. So and what I agree is the best time is Tuesday to Thursday, and the peak time is noon at between 5 to 6 p.m. So, and the worst time is Monday to Friday between these hours. So mainly I decided, for me, not that important news that I want to share, or if I have too many news in a week, so I try to share them also over weekend to just have some time between each post. So my strategy, so they said if you share every day once, so you can get 60% of your connections. So which means some kind of 240 to 2040 400 connections around, in my case, for example. But as I said, my post gets around, we will see also at the end of my talk, more than 10,000 hits or appearances. Another important media which you can use is the ResearchGate. So here it's more scientific. So you have only scientists there, or some company members which also publish papers. So here you can share about your projects, articles, or you can even share other scientific output like some talks, preprints, or even you can share data sets. So it's pretty interesting. You can ask questions. So this is what I like on ResearchGate on most. So you can ask questions to your scientific community. So once I asked, for example, in 2017 a question, and I got some answers directly, which helped us a lot. So this allows you to communicate with scientists And furthermore, if you have do not access, so you can ask them permission to if they could send their papers to you. Here I have 460 followers and 900. These numbers are for me some kind of a measure to show you, am I using this medium really good? So and which one is, in my opinion, the best. But meanwhile, I believe it's important to be on all of them and some kind of use many of them at the same time. Facebook is rather difficult. I have some colleagues which are using Facebook also very prominently, and they also get the audience there. In my case, I'm sharing there also about projects, articles, or other scientific outputs, awards, or talks that I made. But mainly, so here you can see a share about our review, which is published this year. So you see 34 likes, and also the comments are mainly coming from the family members or friends rather than the scientists. So it's at least for my case, I cannot use it for the scientific purposes very well, but I'm trying to also improve it. So Instagram is, as you know, it's based on sharing images or short videos, so-called reels, up to 30 seconds, or you can also share longer videos like using IGTV, or you can even do live streams. And I never thought about it, but this is really something which is interesting. It also increased also by the public also very much during the pandemic time, but also the scientists also using this medium with the live streams very much. So here you can see it can be used also for announcement, sharing scientific images and videos, giving interviews. Here you can see also some of the sharings which I did, but you can see also there are also some family or friends images, so it's some kind of a mixture of both. Here I have 394 followers and following 600, so this is maybe also not a medium which I'm using very perfectly. But which I already taught, I give a talk, for example, by a live stream about variable systems, since I'm originally coming from Turkey. So I had an invitation to give some kind of a short interview, and I gave it there regarding variable systems. So that was really interesting to have such a communication, and that was targeted also not to scientists, or at least maybe the young researchers, but also other people who are interested in variable technologies and also maybe afraid of variable technologies. So, and therefore we need to use it to explain the people why they should not be afraid, or why they should be afraid, but what we are doing to reduce these potential problems. And the last one is the YouTube. So this will be my first YouTube video which I will share there. So YouTube, of course, everyone knows it's there for sharing videos, but you can use it also live streams. You can give interviews, talks, also animations. So I have a YouTube channel which I will highlight at the end, and this would be most probably where you would see this video. And here you can see some of our videos which are already content which is already on YouTube in my channel of disposable microsystems. Here I do not promote it that much, and this, as I said, this is the first video, so there I have 3 followers. So, but I hope that this would be increased, and if I get some feedback, I will try to create such a content in future. So with this, we know now what kind of social media channels or communication ways we have. But now, okay, we know what we can do with them, in which type of content we can share, which in some of these. And now I would like to give you my strategy and my tips how I'm going to use. I am using these media. And here we start with my strategies and suggestions to you. So always try to use always visual stuff like videos, animations or images. It's my experience, if you have an animation or if you have a visual content which is gets much more attraction, and also people, you get also many responses regarding the content that you are sharing. It's really important. And maybe here to the previous another point, try to also share quality images. Do not share or for secret, not as you can share a screenshot, but do not make a image with your smartphone of your screen and share this. So the quality also plays a role. Always try to use a plain language. The idea is expert readers will understand what you are talking anyway. Either you are using a difficult or a complicated language with many words, terms, but your goal should be include both of these, non-expert as well. So you need to explain it as simple as possible. My strategy is to show your emotions. So we are human, and we have emotions. So sometimes we are excited, sometimes we are angry, sometimes we are disappointed, and we need to share these as well as our weaknesses. And my motto here is be just yourself while sharing your content, and also not always share your successes, but also share also your failures. I will give this also an example. One of my other strategy is interact with others' posts as well as with the received comments. So you need to also show the people that you care about their opinion or comments. So you cannot say, okay, someone liked me, that's fine, thanks, and that's it. So you need to also say something back, in my opinion. So it's important, use hashtags, mention other researchers, publishers, newspapers, what you could mention in your, which is also of course suitable to the content that you are sharing, which will also increase the visibility of your post. This is something which I already say, plan your post so that each post has enough time to get enough attention. So do not steal the time or the attention of one of your posts. Do not share, for example, 5 times a day. Try to at least divide them on different days so that you can get for each of these attention. You can even strategically plan to delay some of your news so that you have, for example, every week or every week twice in a post which you could share. As I said, I'm trying always this strategy, to follow this strategy, but sometimes there are much stuff or you are tagged to a message or news which you need to some kind of share, or you need to react to that. So in that case, this is only the case where I'm not following this strategy. This is also something which I completely agree. The website which I take this LinkedIn suggestions. Try to post about your scientific outcome between Monday and Thursday. So this is important. Other days you will get most probably fever visibility and maybe less reading. So this is this is less people will react to your post. So that's important. Try to use always the not post the weekend, but if you have to, there is too much at the same time, so you could do that as well. Another important point regarding the strategies and of course the tips which I can give you, the next tip could be how to handle criticism. So you need to know, if you use the social media, there is always two sides of it. One will appreciate your sharing and also give you acknowledgement. You get some, you will be acknowledged by others, but in the other case there will be also some people who don't like, it could be that they don't like your post and you get some criticism. How to react to this is one of the most fears, which I'm also facing, so to be honest, and this is the way how I'm trying to handle with it. So try to be calm and friendly. This is always the way. If you get angry about a message, just leave it there, give you some time to cool down. So it's important not to react immediately, because everything that you post immediately could be a mistake. Find out the critic's intention. So this is important, because not everyone wants to, let's say, see you dead. So they would also sometimes maybe just they are just on an opposite idea, have another opposite idea, and just want to argue with you. And this is also completely fine in science. So there is not always yes or no. There is also some discussion we need to have, and maybe you can come up to another conclusion at the end. So therefore it's important to hear this criticism and not only reject these. So here, two things. If the provided feedback is constructive, thank those who offer constructive criticism and act accordingly. So maybe they said something you could do better and you think this is really a good idea, then you need to also thank them about their criticism, about their comment actually, and helping you. So this is important. And but of course this is the most important thing, if the provided feedback is destructive, then you need to do this. Try to understand the reason behind, because there are two ways. One, this could be based on a missing or false information. So in that case, you need to argue against it. You cannot just block it and say, hey, you are stupid, I don't want to argue with this. This is the wrong way. You are a scientist, and our goal is to explain people if it's needed 10 times, because we need to communicate this. This is the important thing. Here maybe I'm giving an example. So many people claiming that, for example, the COVID-19 or the vaccines that are made as containing a sensor, a chip, which will be given to a person while administrating this vaccine. So as someone who's working on chip technologies, so this is something which is not possible. So this is the fact. So if you hear something about this, you can say and ignore these people and make them others. And this is the way, so you will lose these people. And as a scientist, our goal should be to go to this media. And this is, of course, the social media, where such a rumors just going through. And there we need to be present as a scientist and argue with the people. There will be two kind of people. This is also the thing. One is just read something, a fake information or false information, or there are some missing information. And in that case, we can go there, explain them, at least try to explain them, and change their mind, or of course this next one is there are some they do not have intention to communicate, and in that case you need to ignore these people. So this is, but at least you need to make a try to understand what is the reason behind. So so that's really important, because if we say as a scientist we don't care about this would be a big mistake. So we need to be present there and explain to people that this is not possible. And by doing that, we need to also say that this is something, for example, now we have some new types of vaccines, and people is, in my opinion, it's just, or it's normal that they are afraid of these new technologies. And as a scientist, our goal or should be to explain them why they should not be afraid of these. And this we can do only if we active on these channels and explaining people, sharing our thoughts, showing them that we also using these vaccines, for example. I just took this example. So this is an important way, and we should do that. If we leave the field to the others with just creating these false content or missing content, so this will lead to a completely different path, and this is definitely not good for science. So it's a really difficult topic in that case. I hope that I can understand. So you need to, I can explain myself. So check, is the feedback constructive? If you believe yes, then act accordingly. If destructive, then try to understand what's the reason behind. And if you can argue, then you should argue and explain people, as we do always in science. And of course, if you see it gets some kind of personal, or there is no intention to communication, then you can, I would say, do not try to fight against it, just ignore it. So this is the way how I'm handling it. Maybe regarding that, I can give a last example. We were working on a mask which can measure some inflammation markers from exhaled breath, and we made a press release about our work in 2019, which was planned way before the pandemic. So, but it was directly there as while the pandemic already started, and there was a comment below the Twitter post. So it's really interesting timing. So, and in that case, it was really important, so the people who read this will believe, so that we have some kind of a secret agenda behind our work, and we already knew this or whatever. This could go really far away. So, and in that case, I just go there and said the work is published in, I don't know, 9 months ago, and it's just a coincidence that it's now we have a press release about this issue. So, and in that case, it really helps. So I just communicated with the person who wrote this post, and he thanked me for my comment, and it was really fine. So, and this is where it begins. If we go there, and of course this is also completely not possible, but as much as we can. So we need to do this. Otherwise, the people or the people who has problems with science will win. And as a scientist, we need to stay together and fight back. So and fight back means actually argue, discuss, show results, show results, and prove that many of these stuff is not true. And finally, I would like to share some of my posts. Here I need again my, I think, yeah. So I selected some Twitter posts. One is, actually we could use it like that. So as I said, it's important to show also family. So we need to be ourselves. So that was my New Year post together with my wife on Twitter. So you see, it's not much liked, but it's actually okay. So you can see here the analytics, how many people see the impression. So there was 4,000 people who looked at on the tweet. Only 300 just click it and look at the inside, and you can see furthermore different shares. So it was not a good idea to have it in German in that case, but you can see really each part of how many hashtags clicks how many people use the link for tweeting. So that's important, so that you can see the outreach of your sharing. Another one is, for example, that was a little bit lucky. So we had a publication directly on 1st of January, where we had also to this publication a nice animation. And here you could see this animation together with my sharing. Again, here the likes are much more. It's retweeted also much more because there's an animation. People found it most probably interesting, also the work. And here you can see it gets impressions, about almost 20,000 impressions. And also the video is watched about 4,000 times. So it's really a good post, I would say. Let's see the next one. So here currently we have a special issue. I shared about a special issue in that case, where from my journal. And also here I just also tagged my colleagues who are also editors to this special issue. And here you can see again it was quite nice impressions or overall reaction of the people. Here, if you share a photo, you can also tag others who are related to this post in that case. The fourth one, let's see. So that was what I was telling about openings. So for example, we are also doing some antibiotic research and also interested in antifungals. And there was a project called by JPAMR this year, but before that they had a survey and asked something about if the antifungals should be included. And there was a survey there which you can just be part of it and tell your opinion about it, and maybe change the next call. So this is really important. So you are not only seeing the calls, but maybe also be part of these. And this information, most probably you are not checking every day 1,000 web pages. So it's therefore very, very valuable, so that you have such a information via Twitter. The next one is also sharing the achievements that you made. So last year I was also, thanks to the journal, other ACS sensors, they choose me one of the rising stars in sensors, and they highlighted our in a virtual issue, a paper which we published. And here being in Twitter also helped me, so that they can tag me here, so that you can see it, which I was then later on aware of, because I didn't expect that, to be honest. So it was so just happened on a day where I just checked my Twitter. I see okay, now I have be honored for something, so that was really cool. But this is also something which is good if you are on a social media, so you can really learn very fast. Another thing is last year regarding the COVID-19 research which we are doing, and my work is also highlighted on Nature Biotechnology in a news article, and again they would be able to include me to this tag, so that's where we get some attention to what we are doing also additionally. The number 7 is, it's not always to, of course, to provide information. It's always sometimes also to share your experience. For example, and we had an article submitted to a journal, and it took it 26 days for the first decision, and I think that was a quite long time. So I could share my opinion via Twitter, and that was really created a discussion where many scientists share their experiences as well. We discussed about these topics, and that was really interesting, and I learned new people and I get their experiences. So it was, after that I was feeling also myself a little bit better, because then I thought, okay, that I'm not the only one, as it always the case is. So it was really important for me to share this. And the last one is my best sharing, and the reason is very simple. So last year, beginning of the Corona pandemic, the German Research Foundation made a statement in German where they said they would extend the project, some of the projects for 3 months or longer, depending on the need of the project and happened due to the pandemic. And that was actually, I just said, translated somehow in English and shared it again, and shared my opinion as well as a strong, because I thought that was a strong message from a founder to the scientists that we are not alone in these difficult times. And I shared this information, and as you can see, it gets some kind of 700 times liked and 300, almost 400 times shared. So you would see, for example, this tweet get an impression about more than 120,000 impressions. So it was really my most successful tweet, and it does not contain any image, as I explained. So sometimes also the message is important, because these tweets are retweeted by the other researchers saying our country should do this as well, and also pointing their funder, why, look at what the DFG or the German foundation done, what are your plans? So it's also started a discussion, and this is, I think, something which I believe this is also important to be used for the science. So now in the next one we will see the LinkedIn tweets. It's based on the similar. So this is the sharing which I show you on Twitter. So here you would see I have received, for example, for this one much more attention, almost 400 or 500 likes. It was viewed, this video viewed more than 10,000 times, and maybe an information about why interesting to use the LinkedIn for this sense. So you can see how many people watch this video. For example, now we have, of course, this is almost 4 months old, but you can see how many people, how long this video played, how many viewers was there, And also you could see which companies or which universities and what kind of people looked at these and where are their locations. This is actually what I will really like on LinkedIn, so that you can see, you can really follow where the reaction comes from. So it's really interesting. For example, regarding the CRISPR, I have always met much reaction from US, from Boston, where the real CRISPR work and also all people works on that, very focused, I would say. So that was, and here I also use this, for example, the feeling, wow, the first publication of the year on the first day of the year. Of course, this was a good luck, but this was a good strategy to share, and that was most probably also one of the success of these sharing. As I said, you can also add the names of the authors there, also the affiliations who are contributed to this research. In the second example, for example, we see a review article which we shared. It has again an image for sharing, and here we have 255 likes, and it's again on a similar way. That was actually the second publication of the year, and it was some kind of 3 days later. So it was again a good thing to share about our research. So here, for example, we have an cover that we made, and for example, here I choose. Also, that was the idea of my student Jaran, who created also this cover. So behind that the idea was to think about metrics, and therefore I just decided to use the code of metrics. You take the blue pill, the story ends here, you wake up in your bed, as you might know from the film Matrix in 1999, and that was again with some hashtags. So, and it was also a very good, so it also see almost 8,000 times. Let's look another example. Here, that was the prize that I won in 2020. And here, of course, due to the pandemic, the prize, the ceremony was online, so that it was covered by, or it was on YouTube, so that and here I could share the images. Of course, I told you that you need to should use your smartphone to make images, but in that case, that was also an exception. So, and here we will see that I shared some images, and this gets, of course, but I need to also say, from experience, awards and achievements if you become a professor or whatever, so you get always a little bit more likes that you will usually get from the research. And you need to also keep in mind, important is to share this information so that more people know about you and your research, what you are doing, to be able to connect with them. So this is still the most important point which we won't need to forget. As I said, one point, you need to also speak about your failures. Last year I applied for a job as an institute director, which I couldn't receive, but I was at least I made it until the interviews, and that was actually I thought about it to share it also to show the others, so that not I'm always having success, because of course if you share some success, you need to know there is at least a double of failures behind it. So no one is successful all the time, so therefore you need to also show your human side or to the other scientists who are maybe learning or following you, because your goal is not to fake a career. So we would like to show what we are going through. And actually there is much more I would share in such a failure phases. I'm not doing it due to strategic reasons sometimes. So this is, but as you can see, it was a failure. So people have said, great, we support you, and also it has also almost 10,000 views. So it was really not an it gets some reaction, and I said, okay, this is just normal, so I can do it more. So it's also I learned something from this experience. And the last one here is, of course, we, as I already talked about it, we are a junior research group. We have some members, and we made a photo actually of our group last year, and made from left to right the people, and I just decided from left to the right to the topics which the person who is on the picture is doing there, and it was one of the most viewed and also liked posters. So it's also important to show that of course I am not the only one who is doing the research. I'm just the one who is communicating it, as well as of course to show how many young and brilliant researchers are behind this research or the works that we are doing. So it's also important not to get the credit for yourself. So you need to also go with a strategy that you are a group, not you are your own. So that's also very important in my opinion. Regarding some bad experiences, actually not a bad experience, but I would like to point here some differences between Twitter and LinkedIn. So I show you the Twitter post with the DFG, that with the corona pandemic the projects will be extended for 3 months. This was a hit in Twitter, and here, for example, in LinkedIn, there was not much response to this news. So that was for me an interesting to show the differences. Such a news has more Twitter character, I would say, than LinkedIn. As I said, LinkedIn is some kind of your own press release. And the next one, or the last one, is, for example, to show a news which I shared about a publication which we did, and I did everything actually completely. So I made some hashtags, I had the authors there, affiliations there, also a link, and I believe that the missing thing was the image, so that to show you that not also an example, not without any images or visual content. Sometimes it's also possible, because you need to think about it. Maybe you can also ask yourself, okay, why should I put a visual image so they should read it and say it? No, that's also not the point. So think about your Twitter behavior or your Instagram behavior or whatever. So you need to catch the people while sliding these content. So this is the important thing, and here you need the visual to have the attention, and then they will start to read also your post. And this is not only because, for example, this is also similar to the science, I would say, because I'm also doing that. So very short messages I sometimes also could not catch. So that's also, I see some 2 days later, oh, why I didn't read this, because of such a visual content. So therefore, in my opinion, it's important to share a visual content. And that was actually the selected post. As the final point, I would like to show you some poll results which I did on Twitter as well as on LinkedIn. So I asked people which platform is the most effective one to communicate in science. So maybe before that, this whole video was actually an invited lecture in Freiburg, where I was invited to explain postdocs about the social media. And here I thought it's nice to ask people in Twitter and in LinkedIn which is the most effective way. And here I had the choices: Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And also I asked them about telling me some names, other names. So the interesting thing is, on both, on LinkedIn and Twitter, the people choose about 74% their own. So LinkedIn people choose LinkedIn and Twitter people LinkedIn. And the Twitter and LinkedIn was really the second one in both, about 15 to 17%. And for example, the people on LinkedIn believe that Facebook is better than YouTube, and in Twitter people believe more in YouTube. So it was okay. My audience was also not that high, so you can think about it's almost, yeah, I would say 160 people. But anyway, so just give you an opinion about, I believe everyone thinks that the social media channel that they are using is the most effective one. For me, I could not differentiate between these two. So these both are my mostly used ones. Now I'm a little bit getting also active in Instagram. So ending up with this video, I would like to give you a message. If you like this video, just give me your comments. I'm not that YouTube people, but you can leave a comment down, or of course you can write me an email. So I'm a scientist, and of course we can be also connected. You can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, ResearchGate, Facebook, Instagram, and also I will be happy if you follow my YouTube channel. Maybe I can also create more content, different topics, subjects on science, and also connected to the social media or other stuff. So thank you for listening.